Noon. Nice to see everybody back. I will call our work session to order. Today is August 6th. And turn it right over to David Cook. We've got a good agenda. Glad to see everybody's face.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Hope everybody enjoyed July off. We're back. All right, let's see. For upcoming events, we have a public comment meeting at 6. And I just wanted to remind everybody that right before we start public comment, we will have the Kids Who Care who will perform a thank you song before that at 5:55. All right, for organizational updates, the first thing I'm going to do is call on Mark McDaniel to recognize employees from our Information Technology Department. Mark.
Okay, well, this is a great opportunity for me to call out our IT staff because as the council is very aware, we were, I think, in touch with you all through the day on Friday, July 19th, when we had the misconfigured update to the antivirus software CrowdStrike. It disabled 425 of our servers and another 1,500 of our laptops and desktop computers. And we were down for a time even with our emergency services communications. But thankfully, we have a plan that they rehearsed, they drill on, and it worked very well. I just wanted to take some time out to really publicly thank Kevin and his team, and not only them, but IT workers in other departments for their really quick work. I got the call, it happened at 1 a.m. I think Sally Trotter was really engaged around 2, probably before then. My phone starts blowing up at about 3 or 4. Renee's calling me. And so then we opened the EOC just as a soft opening with the executives there, with the emergency teams to make sure that, there wasn't anything else that we didn't know about, and that we actually had a plan in place. And sure enough, we did, because of Kevin and his team. This was Friday, of course, and by the time Monday rolled around, it was virtually a non-event because of all the hard work that they had done throughout the weekend. Late into the night, and really scrambling at different facilities to try to take care of our employees. So please help me in just thanking all of our IT staff for a great job. Well done. Kevin?
Yes, thank you, Mr. McDaniel, City Manager Cook, Mayor Parker, council members. Usually we spend our time in the back office. We don't get seen a lot, and we're not providing the frontline services, but we do support those who do provide those services every day. We take a lot of pride in the work that we do, and I thought it was important so you could see all of the faces of the people who support this city day in and day out, 365, 7 days a week, and really do a bang-up job in the process. So go ahead, guys, raise your hand.
Yay!
About 50 people across 5, 6, 7 departments really got the city back up on its feet and running in a very short amount of time. We're very proud of them. Thank you.
Well done. Mark's going to stay right there because he's now going to introduce our new code director.
Okay, thank you, Mr. City Manager. So Val is taking her daughter to college this day, and so she asked me to step up and help her to introduce Brian. So Brian Doherty, come on up to the podium, Brian. I want to tell you a little bit about him. Many of you have met Brian. He's got this infectious energy and just can-do spirit that's just off the charts. So just 2 of the reasons why we're excited about him joining us. He's a 20-year resident of Fort Worth. He has 17 years in code enforcement with the City of Arlington, starting out as a code enforcement officer and working his way up to director during that time. So 3 or 4 promotions. He he attended Mercy College, and where he received a bachelor's degree there. And he's very familiar with a lot of our programs, like the Neighborhood Enhancement Program or Improvement Program, and the short-term rentals and the issues there, and just all facets of it, including animal services as well. So we're so honored and really happy he is on board. And again, your energy is infectious, and just keep doing what you're doing. So please help me to welcome Brian on board.
Thank you, guys. Excited to be here. Appreciate it.
Okay.
All right. And then finally, I'm going to call on Jessica McAckern to introduce a new staff member in Parks and Recreation.
Perfect. Mayor and Council, it's exciting to be here today. I am here to introduce our newest Assistant Director with the Park and Recreation Department. You all remember that Sandra Youngblood just retired after 29 long years of service to the city, so we knew that we had some big shoes to fill. We conducted a nationwide search for this position. We had almost 90 applicants to look at, and Joel McKnight rose to the top and is just amazing, and we are so thrilled that he's here. Joel joins us after a 16-year career with the City of El Paso as the Park and Recreation Deputy and Assistant Director. Prior to that, he served as Park Operations Manager for the City of Lancaster. And then prior to that, he was Superintendent of Golf at Hackberry Creek Country Club in Irving. Joel holds a Bachelor of Science degree in horticulture from Texas A&M University. He is a National Recreation and Park Association Certified Park and Rec Exec, and he also participates as a visitor advisor and mentor for the Commission for Accreditation of Park and Recreation Agencies. He is going to be responsible for planning, directing, and managing the activities and operations of the department's Park Operations Division, which includes 122 full-time staff members. In that division, they maintain 263 of our 302 parks. They also manage the oversight of citywide programs and services such as grounds maintenance, mowing contracts, park reservations, adopt-a-park agreements, and PID contracts, as well as the graffiti abatement program and our natural resources initiative. Joel began his time with us just a couple weeks ago on July 8th, and hopefully soon his wife Diane and son Joshua will join him here in Fort Worth. So please join me in welcoming Joel.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here and look forward to us making a difference in the community.
And not to throw confusion, but we now have 2 assistant directors in parks that are both Joel M. So happy to help, though. Distinguish between the two when you need help. Joel, thank you.
Welcome, Joel. Now turning to informal reports. The first informal report is an update on sales tax revenue. And Christiane Simmons is available if there's any questions. All right. The next informal report is an update on broadband enhancement efforts. And Kevin Gunn is available if there's any questions. We're rolling. The third informal report is on creating single-role EMS positions within the fire department. And Deanna Giordano is available if there are any questions.
I think we good to have an update on that one.
Deanna?
Good afternoon. Deanna Giordano, Human Resources Director, as well as the Civil Service Director for the City of Fort Worth. Just to kind of give you a quick overview of the process that we're entering with the Local 440 as we look to create the single-role EMS provider in the fire department. Part of that includes us kind of negotiating and creating a memorandum of understanding with the Local 440 to amend their collective bargaining agreement. We have initiated those conversations, and we have a schedule that's scheduled through July through September 4th with kind of a target date to ratify the memorandum of understanding by end of September. One of the things that we're looking at is everything relating to wages, overtime, leave benefits, hiring, promotional processes, and discipline. Those are kind of the key categories that the collective bargaining agreement oversees. And then how do we fold those single-role providers into the collective bargaining agreement. We're off to a good start. In addition to that, we have subcommittees that are working on very specific processes relating to pay, benefits, entry exams, promotional exams. And those entities that we're working with include not only members of the city, but members of MedStar, members of Local 440, as well as just kind of all of the different stakeholders within the city and MedStar that are going to be impacted. Again, we're off to a good start. We're hoping that we can have that entered into and completed by the end of September. So if there's any specific questions, I'm available to answer them. All right, thank you.
The next informal report is on the Fort Worth Sphinx Master Plan, and Roger Venables is available if there are any questions.
I do. I just wanted to describe that.
Roger?
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Council. Yes, sir.
I don't really have questions. Maybe just give an overview for the audience and for those listening about this plan.
Sure. This is the Sphinx Airport Master Plan update. Historically, you want to do these about every 7 to 10 years to make sure you're meeting the forecasted demand of the aviation industry. The last time we did a Sphinx Master Plan update was 2004. So in 2022, we received a grant from Texas Department of Transportation Aviation Division to conduct an update to essentially our master plan, which it really turned out to be a new master plan after 20 years of not having done one. So what it is, very core, it's a facilities plan. It's understanding what capital needs or investments need to be made to the airport to support forecasted aviation demand over the next 20 years. Again, the plan should be revisited about every 5 to 7 years. Again, to make sure, one, we're aligned with our master plan over that 20-year term horizon. If not, we need to make changes to it or provide another update to it. So basically, that's what City Council will be asked to adopt at the next council meeting would be this updated master plan. And we really appreciate the efforts of the Aviation Advisory Board. We had a planning advisory committee that was formed with representatives from TxDOT Aviation, the City of Burleson, Economic Development here, Transportation and Public Works, and local stakeholders at the airport to help formulate this plan.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you.
Any other questions, council? Thank you. Oh, go ahead, Carlos, sorry.
Just real quick, Roger, I think you told me, but I forgot. Does the Sphinx Master Plan include, those fuel stations / islands that we talked about for Meacham as well?
We didn't do any relocation of the fuel
Okay.
farm right now. That'll be based on demand, future demand for expansion of that facility. A couple of notable items really in the Sphinx Airport Master Plan are an extension of the runway to meet critical design group aircraft in the future. Again, that's not something that has to happen immediately. It's when demand starts to exist for it in that critical design group for larger jets, for instance, then we would look at doing a runway extension. That's probably the most significant one. And we've carved out areas in the master plan to accommodate advanced air mobility.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you.
All right, our next informal report is on a proposed zoning text amendment to add schools to the 1,000-foot distance requirement for hotels.
I have a couple questions.
And LaShondra Stringfellow is available. LaShondra? Oh, that's not LaShondra.
Surprise. Hi, I'm Stephen Murray. I'm with the zoning department.
Hey, Stephen, how are you?
Good, good.
I just have a couple of questions, just so we're kind of clear on who isn't impacted.
Okay.
So with the H in the mixed use and the form-based, that would exclude stockyards downtown, near South Side, West 7th, and
That's
any other
correct.
entertainment districts.
That is
Right.
correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The only thing that I would ask is if you could reach out to Visit Fort Worth and just make sure that we're not missing any other areas that might need to be exempt. And then if you could just, for the benefit of the hotels or maybe people developing hotels right now, can you just let people know what this process looks like if they already have a hotel or if they've already pulled a permit to build a hotel?
Okay, sure. And just FYI, we've notified hotels that are currently within that 1,000-foot boundary to let them know that there is a text amendment in place so we can get feedback from them, but we'll do.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next informal report is on the public safety payroll solution, and Mark McDaniel is available if there are any questions. All right. The next informal report is on a reallocation of unprogrammed federal grant funds for elderly and homeless services and special needs support, and Casey Bess is available if there are any questions. And the final informal report is on mosquitoes. It's an update on the 2024 mosquito surveillance program and West Nile virus control response, and Wendy Turpin is available if there are any questions. Mayor, I don't know what happened to this group, but I am finished with informal
Apparently,
reports.
they're not back from summer break. There you go. There you go. Okay, council, we'll move right along. Any questions on the upcoming M&C log for next week's council meeting on August 13th? No, then our first update and report from staff is an update on landfill gas by Dr. Cody Wittenberg with Environmental Services Director.
All right, good afternoon and welcome back. Happy to bring an update about our landfill gas project to you this afternoon. You just may recall that in the spring, we brought an IR of a pretty aggressive timeline for a voluntary procurement process through the summer. And I'm very excited to say that we were able to land on a really good path forward, in my opinion. Just do a quick overview of landfill gas, talk about that voluntary procurement process, then hopefully to speak to who we are recommending as a selected vendor, and talk about recommendation and next steps for this project. And just recap, rethinking waste all the time to try to identify resources from those opportunities. So again, landfill gas, sometimes abbreviated LFG, this is this natural byproduct that's coming out of the landfill as those materials decompose. And of course, the city again owns the Southeast landfill, and we operate with that landfill with Republic Services. And we worked together to come to the table to come up with a path forward to hopefully develop a RNG facility at the Southeast landfill. So again, this LFG is converted through a series of processes to create RNG, or renewable natural gas. And from that, we get some benefits. Waste to energy from that solid waste that's decomposing, reduction of greenhouse gases like methane, and hopefully some revenue opportunities as well as we then sell that RNG or the RINs that are profitable from there. And it's not the first time we've dealt with biogas as a city. For the last 20 years or so, the water department has shipped some of this biogas through a pipeline to a RNG facility at the Arlington landfill. So just real quick, for a quick diagram from the EPA, you can see what we're talking about is this facility that's on this illustration in this red box. So gas again comes from the landfill, is processed through this RNG facility, and then is pipelined into your natural gas pipeline in this case to mix with that natural gas and to be used for energy or transportation or other uses. And just as a note, as of March, there were about 526 active landfill gas projects in the US and about 459 candidates for this type of facility. We are one of those 459. I just want to highlight, of course, that this was a collaborative effort. There's no way that Environmental Services could have done this by ourselves. So many departments have come forward to help us support this project. We've also worked closely with outside partners for reviews of financials, review of engineering, review of best practices, and even review of our contracts as we continue to work with Republic. And then, of course, speaking to Republic as great partners, and also great partners throughout the community who are really advocating that we try to find a path forward here. Just as a quick recap, once we were able to work through some conversations about the contract with Republic, we've been able to expedite this process in the last few months. Moving into just February and March, we were able to develop this voluntary request for proposals. And then moving into April and May, we were able to get that request for proposals out to 5 pre-selected vendors. And we are happy to report that we had all 5 of those pre-selected vendors submitted proposals to us. And then the panel worked through that process. Another reason for this sort of aggressive timeline is we were trying to capitalize on what's known as the investment tax credit. This is coming out of the Inflation Reduction Act and helps us able to capitalize on some of those IRS type proceeds. So moving right along through that selection process and just highlighting the excellent work that has been done. So again, we took those 5 pre-selected firms, we offered them this request for proposals and received proposals again from each of those. And then an independent panel worked to conduct full reviews of those proposals, and all 5 were invited to interview with this specific panel. And we actually requested best and final offers from the top 2 firms from those evaluations. Then we had a joint evaluation panel to highlight that partnership that has to occur between the city and Republic. But then we had the city staff independently review each of these proposals and do an independent scoring. And then we, of course, went back to Republic to ensure that we had agreement on the recommended vendor. Also want to highlight this was a voluntary process, so it is not utilizing city funds. This is what is really turnkey. The developer comes in, provides all the services, installs the RNG facility, and then we're able to move forward. But each of these proposals came forward with financing options, design, construction, operations and maintenance, and really a discussion on those revenue distributions. So our proposed vendor through this process is Archaea Energy. It's a company within the BP family, and they are a recommended vendor. They're based, of course, in Houston, and they were acquired in late 2022. As a part of their proposal, they again bring forward this concept of being fully funded. They anticipate that once they get a notice to proceed and everything is signed, it would take about 18 to 24 months to develop this RNG facility. They would also, of course, pay development fees to the city. And within their proposal, it's capitalizing on a 30% of that royalty for sale of that RNG, again, piped into the pipeline, and also for the RINs, or the Renewable Identification Numbers, as a part of that fuel standard program. And then, of course, they also highlighted a potential for maybe future carbon capture and carbon sequestration. So just highlighting a little bit further on what we are hoping to see move forward. In accordance with our contract with Republic, these proceeds, any proceeds would be split 50-50. And the landfill gas itself, we expect that it will be producing that landfill gas for conversion to RNG for 20 to 30 years from now. And of course, beyond that, of course, the facility would be decommissioned once when it's useful life and there's no longer a need to capture that landfill gas. Moving into the specific financial benefits to the city, if we were able to execute an agreement, they would pay the city and Republic $100,000. We split that, so $50,000 coming to the city. And then during development, they've offered to pay development fees as part of their proposal. So somewhere between $2 to $3 million anticipated, again, half of that coming to the city. And then the real benefit is once that facility is up and running and producing that RNG and those RINs that would be as a byproduct of those, we are seeing probably between $5 and $10 million per year annually, again, split between us and Republic moving forward. So we're really excited to see where this project goes. These revenues could be really beneficial as we look for long-range strategies for solid waste planning. So we would like to move forward with also creating a capital fund to secure funding for either a future landfill or some other municipal solid waste facility, and hopefully also have additional revenues to support the acquisition of green space and conservation of that green space, or perhaps some other environmental type programs, among other potential uses. So with that, next week on Tuesday the 13th, it's our recommendation as staff that you would consider approving an M&C to enter into a services agreement with Archaea Energy. And then from there, we will work, of course, as staff to complete the executed agreement with Archaea and hopefully begin construction of this site and hopefully start to capitalize on some of these revenue opportunities. So thank you.
Any questions for Cody? Man, y'all are easy today. Thank you, Cody, very much. Our next presentation is a presentation on our proposed tax abatement agreement with GE On Wing, and Sherry Gordon is going to present today.
As mentioned, the purpose of this presentation is a tax abatement agreement with GE On Wing, a proposed tax abatement agreement with GE On Wing Support, which is a subsidiary of GE Aerospace. GE Aerospace is a world leader in providing aircraft engines, systems, and avionics. GE On Wing Support is a legal entity of GE Aerospace. GE On Wing Support is a full service provider of engine maintenance and repair with 8 facilities across the globe, including a current facility in Fort Worth at 15225 FAA Boulevard. Competing sites for this project were sister facilities of GE On-Wing Support in Oklahoma, Kansas, Tennessee, and Ohio. GE Aerospace parent company has over 52,000 employees. On-Wing Support has 300 employees worldwide, with 65 currently based in Fort Worth in test cell and engine maintenance operations. Parent company GE Aerospace had $38.1 billion in revenue in 2023. The project location at 15225 FAA Boulevard is seen in red on the current location. The additional site is adjacent at 15101 FAA Boulevard, which is currently greenfield, and they'll be expanding to have a presence across both sites. As mentioned, they're expanding from the current facility across the adjacent parcel for a larger single footprint. The proposed capital investment is $50 million. It's 100 additional full-time jobs, so that's in addition to the 165 for a total of in addition to the 65 for a total of 165 at the site. And the expected average annual salary is above $70,000. On the company commitments, their commitment for capital investment is $50 million. It's 37.5 in real property improvements by December 31st, 26, 12.5 in business personal property by January 1st, 2027. That's the 100 additional full-time jobs by December 31st, 2026. The minimum average salary for all jobs above $70,000, we expect that to be closer to $80,000 or above based on current salaries, but this is the minimum salary that's agreed to, and a 15% of construction costs to BEF companies. We're proposing a 7-year tax abatement of up to 60% of the incremental real and BPP. The abatement is subject to the company performance requirements. Failure to meet the minimum investment is a default. Failure to meet the minimum $70,000 average salary required results in a forfeiture of the abatement for that year. Failure to meet full-time jobs commitment, the jobs commitment of the plus 100 would result in a reduction of the abatement, a proportional reduction. Failure to deliver 15% of construction costs would result in 10% reduction of the abatement. And on the summary, we have the $50 million total capital investment, 37.5 real, 12.5 BPP, creating 100 new full-time employees, average wages above $70,000, proposing 7-year incentive, 60% with a value of $1.2 million. City participation, 2.4%. Net new taxes at the site is $811. The net present value of those net new taxes is $645,185,000 with a payback of 3.88 years. Recommending the 7-year tax abatement, 60% of the incremental real and business personal property taxes, and we would see this at M&C on August 13th. And available for any questions.
Sherry, any questions? No, no questions. Council, that is the conclusion of our presentations for today. Do we have any requests for future agenda items or reports? Councilmember Beck.
Sure. I'd like staff to conduct a review of what other cities do when it comes to variable tax rates for affordability. Right now, our options are to leave it on the tax rolls or take it completely off. I'd like to see if there's some possibility of a sliding scale that we can implement to help us get to affordability, but not losing that tax base.
Councilmember Flores, I think you had your hand up.
I have a couple. First, I've already made outreach to Robert Stearns and Justin Newhart on this, so they're aware of it. But just to formalize it, request an IR and for staff to look into using National Trust of Historic Preservation to support small historical businesses. I know that, around the country that it's been used before. They indicated that that's something that they could perhaps apply here in Fort Worth. So formally, I request they look at that. Second is an IR, and I've already spoken to Jairus Mapes in legal about it, and Leanne as well. This has come up before, in the recent history of council. Evaluate the use of golf carts in entertainment districts and college campuses, and I'm being very limited in what I am saying, because I know that I don't want to create a slippery slope here and just have them run rampant across the city, because I've had issues before in some of the areas up north in my district. I'm not advocating for them to be used up there on public streets, But what we are seeing is, in the stockyards, for example, more purchases by stakeholders there of golf carts are using them more frequently. Jairus has talked to them about that. This is going to continue, so I see that as being applicable in entertainment districts and then in college campuses. Just driving through the TCU area yesterday, one pulled out in front of me and, excuse me, and it's not for, street legal use, but they're being used in construction areas and it's more prevalent. So I think we should try to get ahead of it and start, making some recommendations on how we handle it under our ordinance.
I think Carlos, did you have one?
I
Charlie?
did, yes. So I talked to Lauren Perry about this before, but I'd just like an IR from TPW and risk management regarding how aggressively we're going after insured motorists whenever it comes to taking out street signs, our light poles, et cetera. I know we deal with that quite a bit, and looking at the cost of those and going up, I just want to make sure we are aggressively going after these. We all know insurance companies try to get out of everything, but I just want to make sure we're actually getting our money back from those insured or what the process is for uninsured motorists and how all that's recouped, so.
Thank you, Charlie. Chris?
Yeah, I think I asked for this last time, I can't remember, but the grease trap ordinance, I wanted to look deep into that versus major kitchens and smaller kitchens. And then the other thing, I want us to revisit, I know we talked about in the new City Hall security with the metal detectors. I know we initially said we wasn't gonna have them, but I want us to revisit that idea.
Thanks, Chris. Anybody else? No? With that, council, we're adjourned. I'll see you at 6.